Setsubun Battle. A short story by PJ Leonard. Part 5. While the Oni King talked, the jewel on the end of the staff glowed, except it was the opposite of a glow. The dark star went as dark as night, streaming a trail of darkness in its wake. The Oni King stared at Seiji all the while, his eyes mocking him. Why had Seiji trusted the Oni King? He'd handed the tiger skin pants over just like that. Seiji hit his head against the bars of the cage. He'd failed. "He's a super bad Oni," Yui whispered in Seiji's ear. "Where are those magic beans?" "I have only one left," said Seiji, digging a hand into the pocket and feeling the crinkled wrapping. "There's no way we can get out of here with just one." And then it hit him. Of course! So simple! So obvious! Why hadn't he thought of it before? "Farewell, Takeda family," the Oni King bellowed. "Let it be known that on this day the line of demon hunters failed and was ended." The Oni King held the staff high. Seiji pulled the bean out of his pocket, threw it in his mouth, and swallowed. The cage, the Oni King, the hall, everything glowed. It glowed as if starlight clung to the edges of everything. As though reading a book, the meaning of everything around him became so clear, so simple. He knew what to do. He held up a hand to the bars of the cage and pushed them aside as if they were made of paper. The Oni King stared as Seiji jumped out through the hole and landed at his feet. The marble under Seiji's feet cracked like ice. Everyone was still for a moment, as though frozen in time. Then Seiji clapped his hands. The Oni King was thrown backwards as if someone had delivered a blow to his waist. He dropped the staff, and Seiji caught it. He swung around just as the red and blue Oni pounced on him. Seiji clicked his fingers and blasted them out of the air as though blowing dandelion seeds. The doors burst open, and in poured the Oni guards. Hundreds of them. They roared and they charged towards Seiji. Seiji's eyes watered at the sight of them, the starlight twinkling on each and every Oni down to their fingertips, but he stood his ground. He stamped a foot, and the ground shuddered with the force of an earthquake. The Oni guards collapsed to the ground, falling to their knees. Every single one of their faces had gone from fury to wide-eyed confusion and fear. Seiji rounded on the Oni King, who still lay slumped against a pillar. Seiji held the staff up to his nose, the dark star casting a black shadow over the golden face. "Pah!" the Oni King spat. "So the demon hunter has found his skill at last. What of it? I will never bow to you." "I don't want you to bow to me," said Seiji, holding the staff steady. "I want you to return the tiger skin pants to me, and then my family and I will leave." His voice sounded calm, sure. He didn't recognize it as his own. "Never!" the Oni King roared. "Suit yourself," Seiji shrugged. Instinctively, he knew what to do. He drew a circle in the air above the Oni King. The dark star curved a purple ring out of the air, creating a portal. "No!" the Oni King yelled, as an invisible force sucked the Oni King into the portal like a vacuum. He clawed and thrashed, but found no grip on the marble floor. When the last finger slipped into the portal, it shrunk away to nothing and disappeared. The Oni King was gone, the tiger skin pants with him. Seiji turned back to the stunned crowd of Oni guards. Some of them held their clubs and spears, readying themselves for a fight, though their eyes were full of terror. "I don't want to fight," said Seiji. "I don't think anybody does, really. I think we all just want to be left in peace." The Oni guards looked from one to the other, frowning. "I don't know who started this war between the demons and my family," Seiji went on. "It sounds like nobody does. But we can end it now. Your king is gone, and you'll need a new one, I think. I suggest you elect one who wants to search for peace, rather than look for excuses to fight." A stunned silence filled the room. The red and blue Oni considered Seiji very carefully, and then they stood up. The red Oni pulled a lever on the nearby wall, and the cage holding his family was lowered to the floor. Mom, Dad, and Yui stepped out slowly, as though emerging onto a new planet. The blue Oni walked up to Seiji. Strangely, he didn't sense any anger in the blue Oni this time, and he didn't send the blue Oni flying backwards. "Here," said the blue Oni, holding out an open, empty hand. It was a few seconds before Seiji understood what the blue Oni meant, and when he did, Seiji almost knocked the demon on its back anyway. But he paused, considered carefully, and handed the staff over to the blue Oni. His father winced. Seiji couldn't blame him. Had he really just fallen for the same trick twice? Why did he believe he could trust this Oni after the Oni King's trick? But the blue Oni held up the staff and carved a hole in the air, just as Seiji had done. A familiar red portal appeared, and Seiji's heart gave an extra hard pound. Home. "Go," said the blue Oni. The red Oni appeared by his partner's side. Their faces were stiff, as though they were fighting every urge to howl and roar in fury. "Thank you," said Seiji. He nodded to his family, who didn't need telling twice. Mom, Dad, and Yui stepped through the portal. Seiji stood at the portal's edge and turned back just before it pulled him in. "What will you do now?" he asked. The blue Oni raised its arms high and then swung the staff down. The dark star shattered on the marble floor, crumbling into a glittering dust. As one, the blue and red Oni turned to face Seiji, and they nodded. It wasn't a friendly nod, but a respectful one. "Go," they repeated. Seiji had one last glimpse of the red and blue Oni stepping forward to say something to the crowd of Oni guards before the portal swallowed him and spat him back out onto the soft grass of his lawn. 1 year later. "Well, that was fun," said Seiji, pulling up the Oni mask and wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead. "It's been a while since I've been the Oni. You sure you don't want to be an Oni, Yui? We still have some beans left." "No way," said Yui, looking up from her ehomaki. "I hate nasty, yucky Oni." "Don't talk while eating your ehomaki, dear," said Mom, patting Yui on the head. Mom turned and winked at Seiji. "She's just getting her practice for fighting the real Oni," Mom went on as she walked into the kitchen to make green tea, "ready for when they come back." "I can't imagine the Oni ever coming back, though," said Dad. "I mean, we've heard nothing from them this Setsubun. It looks like they're gone for good." "Be careful what you wish for," said Mum, smiling. "The second you start saying something like that is the second they start knocking on the door." Seiji picked up a handful of beans and walked into his bedroom. He opened the window and looked down over the garden. It was still, quiet, and free of portals. "Demons out! Luck come in!" he recited as he tossed a few beans out of the window. They clattered on the pavement below. Seiji smiled as he chewed on the remaining beans in his hand and slid the window shut. The end.